وكذلك أوحينا إليك روحا من أمرنا ما كنت تدري ما الكتاب ولا الإيمان ولكن جعلناه نورا نهدي به من نشاء من عبادنا وإنك لتهدي إلى صراط مستقيم صراط الله الذي له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض ألا إلى الله تصير الأمور.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear viewers, welcome to another episode of Scattered Pearls. Selecting for you the best verses, presenting it to you, exploring those beautiful verses. These episodes are important for the matter of softening our hearts, because the hearts need to be softened. The heart, which is a hardened heart, is not a sound heart, and we will not be able to be saved having improper hearts. Because Allah the Almighty said, at that day, nothing will be beneficial for the person, neither wealth nor children, but one who comes to Allah with a sound heart. And how can a heart be sound and happy? By being submissive to Allah. Money does not bring happiness. You're going to die, and you're going to leave your money and everything for the others. You'll be coming to Allah with good works and good heart. Therefore, the Prophet, peace be with him, says, Allah does not look in consideration for your bodies, but He looks in consideration for your hearts and your works. He doesn't look in consideration for your bodies, for your colors, for your races, but He looks in consideration at your hearts and your good works. We've been talking about the nourishment of the heart, but there are some people who try to extinguish that light, which is the nourishment of the heart. As Allah the Almighty says, يُرِيدُونَ لِيُطْفِئُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ يُرِيدُونَ أَن يُطْفِئُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ وَيَأْبَى اللَّهُ إِلَّا أَن يُتِمَّ نُورَهُ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. At-Tawbah, the 9th chapter, verse 32. The translation is, they want to extinguish the light of Allah with their mouths, but Allah refuses except to perfect His light, although the disbelievers dislike it. Many people try to extinguish the light of Allah by their mouths, but eventually they frustrated. They can't do it. The religion, the light of Allah remains while those people go. This is another challenge, that the religion of Allah is remaining, and that His book is well preserved, and that no one can change it or get rid of it. And that there is a struggle, a fight between the people of the truth and the people of the falsehood, which will be ending with the failure of the people of the falsehood. Don't be deceived with their potentials, with their equipments, with their preparations, with their numbers. Do not be deceived with this, because this religion belongs to the Creator of those people, the Creator of the whole world. Their life is going to be extinguished. The light of Allah will remain. It will not be extinguished. As Allah the Almighty says, they plan, and Allah too plans. But the best among those who plan is Allah. In another verse, they planned such kinds of schemes or plans, but we do planned while they did not perceive it. then look at the consequence of their plans, that we have destroyed them and their people, all of them. In another verse, they planned an evil planning, and their plan is with Allah. Although the mountains are about to be removed because of their great planning. In another verse, Allah is showing us that the evil plan will be the consequence. It will return against them, as He said, وَلَا يَحِيقُ الْمَكْرُ السَّيِّئُ إِلَّا بِأَهْلِهِ. It will be ended to destroy them and to end them. We come to another verse that shows that this Qur'an is cure of what the breasts contain. Let us recite this beautiful verse of the Qur'an, where Allah the Almighty says, يا أيها الناس قد جاءتكم موعظة من ربكم وشفاء لما في الصدور وهدى ورحمة للمؤمنين قل بفضل الله وبرحمته فبذلك فليفرحوا هو خير مما يجمعون. In another verse, قل هو للذين آمنوا هدى وشفاء والذين لا يؤمنون في آذانهم وقر وهو عليهم عمى أولئك ينادون من مكان بعيد. Translation: O mankind, there has come to you instruction from your Lord and healing from what the breasts contain, and a guidance and a mercy for the believers. Say, in the bounty of Allah and in His mercy, in that let them rejoice. It is better than what they accumulate. Chapter Yunus, verse 57, the other verse. Say, it is for those who believe a guidance and cure, and those who do not believe, in their ears is deafness, and it is upon them blindness. Those are being called, or will be called, from a distant place. That means at the day of judgment. Chapter Fussilat, verse 44. So Allah described this Qur'an to be a cure for the hearts, for the chests, for the breasts. It is a cure for the hearts from its sicknesses. Yes, the heart falls in sickness. One of the sicknesses, or let's count some sicknesses of the heart: envy, hypocrisy, hatred, arrogance. All of those kinds of sicknesses, when they penetrate the heart, they cause the heart to become sick. People are well concerned about the physical sickness of the heart. When the heart has something which we call heart attack or something, they run headlong to the hospitals, trying their utmost effort to save that heart from its sickness. What about the spiritual sicknesses that cause the heart, if we do not rush to rectify or to cure that heart from its sickness? That heart is going to die. The Qur'an is also a cure for the houses. See, the houses should be maintained also from that enemy. The enemy is trying to enter that heart in order to destroy that heart. The houses, your house should be immunized from that enemy by reciting the Qur'an in your house. This will be the way to immunize your heart, your house, from his enemy. I remember the Prophet, peace be with him, saying, recite the chapter of Al-Baqarah, which is the second chapter. For the devil's hate to remain in a house where the chapter of Al-Baqarah is recited therein. 3 times in 3 days, continuously you recite the chapter of Al-Baqarah, and I hope this will be the cure, the element, the way to drive out this enemy from your house. But you may invite him again by sinning, committing sins in your house. The house, you may be able to lock, you may lock the house. But you know what? The house can be affected by the sins. Those sins can be considered as holes that your enemy enter therein or therethrough to your house. You have to maintain your house from any kind of attack of this enemy. Let your house be a house of righteousness. Keep reciting the Qur'an. Maintain the recitation of the Qur'an through your children. Let your children recite the Qur'an, and let them know how to recite the Qur'an. I remember that a father was telling his son to recite the Qur'an while his son was reciting the Qur'an. The father said to his son, when he saw him reciting the Qur'an, "My son, recite the Qur'an." The son said to his father, "My father, I am reciting the Qur'an. Why do you remind me to recite the Qur'an while I'm reciting the Qur'an?" He said, "I want you to recite the Qur'an as if it had been revealed to you." That means with contemplation, with reflecting, with thinking about the greatness of the Qur'an. And don't forget, when you recite the Qur'an, that Allah is hearing you. And if you have a beautiful voice, and thank God that He granted me a beautiful voice in which I ask Allah to enable me to recite it always and always. The closest one to be hearing you beautiful recitation, number 1, is Allah. Is Allah. One of the companions of the Prophet, peace be with him, was reciting the book of Allah at night, and suddenly he heard some noise. He looked up and he saw some lights. He came to the Prophet and said, "Oh Prophet of Allah, I heard some noises at night while I was reciting the Qur'an. I looked up at the sky and I saw a certain type of light, big light." The Prophet told him that this was the angels. They were listening to the recitation of this beautiful recitation of this companion of Allah. Be with us, and we are going to recite to you some verses which will tell you that a time when the Prophet was reciting the Qur'an, the jinn kind of people gathered themselves and they said, "Listen to his recitation," and we will tell you what they said after that. Be with us. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Anyone who chooses other than Islam as a religion, as a way, it won't be accepted from him. This Qur'an has to be understood by the way the companions of Rasulullah understood the Qur'an. We disconnect ourselves from the actions of certain Muslims who oppress people and kill people unjustly.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, dear viewers, in our episode, The Scattered Pearls. We mentioned to you that some jinn listened to the recitation of the Prophet and they believed in him. In fact, there are some verses about that in a chapter called Fussilat, verses from 29 until 34. We're going to recite it to you, or recite them to you, and then we translate them. Allah the Almighty says, وَإِذْ صَرَفْنَا إِلَيْكَ نَفَرًا مِنَ الْجِنِّ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقُرْآنَ فَلَمَّا حَضَرُوهُ قَالُوا أَنصِتُوا فَلَمَّا قُضِيَ وَلَّوْا إِلَى قَوْمِهِمْ مُنذِرِينَ قالوا يا قومنا إنا سمعنا كتابا أنزل من بعد موسى مصدقا لما بين يديه يهدي إلى الحق وإلى طريق مستقيم يا قومنا أجيبوا داعي الله وآمنوا به يغفر لكم من ذنوبكم ويجركم من عذاب أليم ومن لا يجب داعي الله فليس بمعجز في الأرض وليس له من دونه أولياء أولئك في ضلال مبين أولم يروا أن الله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض ولم يعي بخلقهن بقادر على أن يحيي الموتى بلى إنه على كل شيء قدير ويوم يعرض الذين كفروا على النار أليس هذا بالحق قالوا بلى وربنا قال فذوقوا العذاب بما كنتم تكفرون. Translation is, and mention when we directed to you a few of the jinn listening to the Qur'an. When they attended it, they said, listen quietly. And when it was concluded, they went back to their people as warners. They said, O our people, indeed we have heard a recited book revealed after Moses confirming what was before it, which guides to the truth and to a straight path. O our people, respond to the caller of Allah and believe in Him. He will then forgive you your sins and protect you from a painful punishment. But as for he who does not respond to the caller of Allah will not cause failure to him upon the earth, and he will not have besides him any protectors. Those are in manifest error. Do they not see that Allah who created the heavens and the earth and did not fail in their creation is able to give life to the dead? Yes, indeed. He is over all things competent. And the day those who disbelieve are exposed to the fire, it will be said to them, is this not the truth? They'll say, yes, by our Lord. He'll say, then taste the punishment because you used to disbelieve. We're used to believe that the jinn are very dangerous creatures. They can see us, but we do not see them. How can we be saved from them? It is true that they are invisible. We've been told that they can see us today while we cannot see them, but at the day of judgment, we will be the one to see them while they will not be able to see us. But anyway, Allah did not leave us to be subjected to their threats or their harm, but He gave us the tool. He gave us the medicine. He gave us the solution for these kinds of creatures. That is to obey Him. If we obey Him, then this is our protection. I remember a beautiful story. A shepherd that has a son. He had sheep with him, and there was a dog. The shepherd said to his son, my son, you see, if you want to cross this way, but the dog barked against you, that means he did not allow you, or he deprived you, or he disallowed you from taking this way. What are you going to do? He said, I'll try to find another way. He said, but suppose there's no other way. This is the only way. So what are you going to do? He said, I'll try my best. I'll strive. I will try to drive him away. I'll try to do my best. He said, what if he insisted? What if the dog insisted? The son said, I don't know what to do. The father said, shall I guide you to a good solution? Make reconciliation with the shepherd. Make reconciliation with the shepherd. He will be stopping the dog from barking against you. That's it. This is the only way. To be protected from those kinds of creatures is to obey Allah and to be with Him. And you know what? That will be weakening them. We are accustomed in a way to fear them and to fear that they are something really big and something really dangerous. No. The Prophet told us that if you remember Allah and you seek refuge with Allah from Satan the rejected, the devil is going to be just like a fly. He'll be declining. He'll be decreasing until he becomes just like a fly if you seek refuge with Allah against him. They are creatures like us, and they are weak like us. And this is their weak point, is to be with Allah and seek refuge with Him against them. Not only this, in addition, they fear the believer, while some ignorant believers, they fear them. We do not know the positive angle or perspective of the jinn, of whom people call ghosts. Look at the positive perspective. Look at the positive angle here. When they, as soon as they listened to the recitation of the Prophet, they became callers for righteousness. And they went to their own people, their own tribes, reminding them about this, calling them for guidance and for righteousness. This is something that people do not know. Maybe because of those kinds of movies and things they see, it keeps with them a certain misconception about this case. And being also distant from Allah, this is another reason. It increased them in fear. And when you show them fear, they will become arrogant, and that will be increasing them in scaring you. But when you come to Allah in obedience and seek refuge with Him from them, the matter will be different. Remembrance of Allah, obedience to Allah, reciting the revelation of Allah, all of those will be pillars of being protected from this kind of enemy. Abu Hurairah, the companion of the Prophet, who used to be extremely memorizing a lot of narrations of the Prophet. Once he was in charge of certain food was kept for the poor people. The Prophet put him in charge of this and trusted him. And Abu Hurairah went to this place, and he found a person trying to steal something from that food. He said, wait, I'll take you to the Prophet. You're stealing. The man said, I have family, and I'm really a poor person. Please, don't take me to the Prophet. Abu Hurairah said to him, well, in a condition that you do not come here again. He said, yes. Abu Hurairah went to the Prophet, peace be with him, and the Prophet was the one who said to him, Abu Hurairah, what have you done to your captive? He said, he told me that he has family and he's poor, and I left him. He said, he's going to return to you again. Then Abu Hurairah went again to that place, and he found the same person, and he said, well, that's the second time for you that you do that. Now I'm going to take you to the Prophet. He said, please do not do that. I'm poor and I have family, etc., etc. Then he left him. Then he went back to the Prophet, and the Prophet told him the same thing. Abu Hurairah, what have you done with your captive? Abu Hurairah said, he told me that he has a family and he's poor. He said, he lied to you and he's going to come back again. At the third time, Abu Hurairah found him and he said, this time, no way. I'm going to take you to the Prophet. He said, well, I'm going to teach you something. Do you promise me if I teach you something really beneficial, that you leave me? Abu Hurairah said, yes. He said, whenever you go to your bed, recite Ayatul Kursi. This is a very beautiful verse. And in a matter of fact, we told you at the beginning of those episodes that Ayatul Kursi is the best verse in the Qur'an. What does it begin with? Allah. La ilaha illahu. Allah, there is no God but He. La ta'khudhuhu sinatun wa la nawm. There is no fatigueness, nor sleep can take Him. Lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. To Him belongs the dominion of the heavens and the earth. Man ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه. Who is He that dares to intercede except by His permission? يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم. He knows what is before them and what is behind them. ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء. And they do not comprehend or able to know of His knowledge except by that which He will. It's a beautiful verse. He taught him this. Then Abu Hurairah went to the Prophet. The Prophet said, what have you done to your captive? He said, he taught me something. He said, it's very beneficial. And that if I do it, if I recite this verse when I go to my bed, no devil will come to me. And they will be a protector that is sent from Allah for me. As long as I recite this verse, the Prophet said, he is a liar, but this time he told you the truth. That means the verse Al-Kursi is your protector. So we have a protector from those kinds of enemies if we are obedient to Allah and you maintain those remembrances. That's why there are some scholars that brought those remembrances in a book and they called it the fortress of the believer, the fortress of the Muslim, because this is our only fortress against those kinds of creatures. Thank you very much for being with us on this episode. Be with us on another episode of The Scattered Pearls. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.